So welcome everybody to Townhall number 12, and this is the first session, the morning session for the UK, or maybe more for Australian and agencies based out there. So welcome everybody, and if you're watching the recording, so I'm actually in Thailand at the moment. So yeah, hello from sunny Thailand. Hopefully the connection is all okay. Just shout if not. I might turn off my video shortly just in case, so that might help us. But yeah, let's get started. So the main topics for today would be the reseller billing, because we've actually now released that and got quite a few people migrated across to it. A few of you are here today, so we can maybe discuss how you found that and any sort of remaining questions. And then after that, move on to the big one, the one that we wanted to talk about for quite a while, and obviously billing. Just we've had to get that done, get that out of the way. We now can talk about the roadmap properly. And what we want to do is really involve you guys now in really just firming up exactly what the key priorities are now, because a roadmap tool is great. It tells us things that people want and votes and all of that, but some of it becomes outdated. We don't necessarily get the exact context of what's most important right now. So while we've already got a list that we're working through, we want to be as clear as possible on what the most pressing things are, and just make sure we've got everything on a list. Ideally try and go through them with you a little bit in terms of people's different priorities, so that we can get some kind of consensus and really focus on getting those core things done as quickly as possible. Obviously doing quick wins if we can, as well as bigger features alongside. So really appreciate everyone's input on that. If you're watching the recording, then do fire some across to us by live chat, tickets, email, whatever it might be, and we'll consolidate everything. We just want to we'd rather have all the information now and make those decisions with as much information as possible. Right, yeah, so, and then after that, obviously it's open floor for questions as usual. Yeah, just ask away. So firstly, reseller billing, and I guess new pricing in general. The new pricing went live the end of May, I think it was, or actually the beginning of May, with the new site plans and the new sort of units-based model, and they're available in the portal. But the reseller model is obviously the big one. That's been quite a bit more work trying to map that across so that you guys can move across to it and benefit from having one bill and not having to manage all your sites individually. So I think I can obviously show more of that to anybody who's less familiar with it, but seeing as quite a few of you guys have already migrated or already looking at it and discussing, it might be worth just opening the floor to questions on it, really, and we can take it from there. Anybody got a burning question on reseller billing?
Well, I'll jump in because it's always always. So we've got the billing units in there. Would it be possible just to, and this would be an interesting one because with the plans moving and so on and so forth, it'd be just quite handy to have a visual plan guide, and this is probably a roadmap item actually, but something that we could put in, so when we're reselling, if we're sticking to the current plans, because certainly at this stage we haven't changed anything for our customers in terms of how they're getting billed. But it'd be good if we had the capability of setting our own plans and then having a little visual indicator, a bit like you had before with the, you're on this plan, you're on this, so we could just see where everybody is. So we can just do a very quick, obviously we've got quite a number, and just being able to visually scan up and down to see who's where on which plan would be quite handy. In terms of how I envisage us using it, I think it's going to be much more along the lines of actually, we'll just bill at a certain plan, and then if they move up to the next level because they've just gone over the plan, we'll then bill at the new level. So I don't think we need you're getting close to this or anything else. We just need a visual. You're on, what will start a plan, you're on launch, you're on, whichever. That would be quite handy. And if there was a little area, we could just set those ourselves in the within the billing module. That would be just really really handy for us, as I see where we're going to go with it now. So yeah,
definitely. That makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we've done phase 1, and phase 2 is to try and give you guys the ability to link up to maybe your own Stripe account and us pass you the data so that you could automate the upgrade and the downgrade flows or overages. But yeah, good point. I think the easiest thing in the interim then would just be to give you a couple of extra fields on the site itself, so that you can maybe put in a Stripe link if you wanted to for internal use, and a plan name and a plan price or something. Do you think?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the only thing with that Stripe side of things is we don't bill using Stripe. We bill invoice and then go cardless direct debit. So
Sure.
more for us would be actually an integration into Xero, which I know Xero just doesn't appear in enough places to make you think it's easy to do, because when you when you look at it, it's, I'm not even sure it's on Zapier in a full format.
They're doing a big integration with Stripe at the moment, so I think there'll be a lot more on that very, very soon. But I think for us to standardize this for everybody, I think what we'll do is probably just give you a few custom fields almost. So one would be like plan name, plan price, and plan URL if you wanted to use it. So if you did have a Stripe or a Xero link, you could put it in there for your own internal use, and then maybe plan name and plan price would be shown to the customer or something like that. No, that'd be that would certainly be fine for now. But yeah, I don't think we'd use the Stripe integration at this stage, just because all of our billing is because we build lots of other things in with our billing, so it'd just be a case of kind of changing one line of 5 on an invoice for us, rather than wanting to bill in separate ways to the client. Just make some notes on that. It's a really good idea. Feature request, fields against each site to say which agency plan name, price, URL, perhaps. Oh, I've just put that in the chat, and we'll all of these together at the end.
With that, would it be possible to have a view of all the clients in one place as well? So rather than having to go into each admin, for each client to put in the plan and the price that we're giving them, are we able to have an admin page where we can do everything at once? Because I've currently got I suppose most people do, I've got a spreadsheet of all the clients, and so I can tweak their prices. So that would be very handy. Is it possible?
So with the new reseller, sorry, go ahead, Nick.
With the previous sites list, if you kind of just put live sites on there, you could see which plan they were on, and because I was envisaging that's exactly what would happen. It just showed, because now they all say reseller, which is fine, but actually if they all said reseller and then had a level they were on with color codes, like we used to have when they were on the starter or the I know actually the color coding was for whether they were over or under their plan, wasn't it? But actually, if we just were able to maybe color code the plans in there, would that be so? Would that work for you, Liz?
Possibly, yeah. And I just noticed Rox has put something into the chat about maybe some sort of web app type approach where we can add our own fields. Bad idea.
Yeah, I'll just make sure everyone's on the same page about what's coming or what you get with Reseller. So if I just share my screen, this is just a dummy example of what you'd now have when you're on the Reseller plan. So you'd be able to see all of a list of sites at the bottom with a breakdown of usage. So that's somewhat what you're talking about, I think, Liz. But also, if we did do the first idea that Nick raised of being able to add some custom data against each site, we could put that in the table as well. So you could actually see what site they're on from your perspective, it just all from this page.
That would be perfect. Yeah.
I like that very much. I'd vote for that.
Cool. I think that. Yeah, I think as long as we get the field data right, then, and we can put links in here, then you guys could link off from here to wherever you wanted. It could take you to a subscription or to a spreadsheet if you still wanted to do that or whatever. But yeah, I think trying to get everything in one place would help. I do like Rox's idea of a web app, because essentially there could be like a module in the marketplace or something that you can install to manage, and it could be far more flexible than having something that you can sort of customize on top as well. So it might be worth looking at that down the line. I think we'd probably start with, or we would start with, expanding this view. And then if somebody wanted to build their own kind of module for managing it differently, that would be fine too. So do you think this route covers enough for now?
Yeah, that would certainly work for us.
It has made me realize that I'm trying to think how we consider the customers now, because obviously I don't know if this is an oversight, but currently some of your customers can see what plan they're on and their usage and everything. So from now on, do you think you would manage that externally? I don't know whether you plan to always show them their current usage and let them see which plan they're on in the UI.
I think that,
But actually having an email that we could, you know, and kind of, if the data is available, that we can kind of create an email that just sends out to them once a month, just to let you know this is how many units you're using. That would be in the same way you used to for us. That would be probably quite a handy function to be able to you know, to choose if we could email to the client. Probably, I think would be because some of our clients would be just like, I don't understand.
This is why I actually like the web app route that Rox has mentioned, because then you guys can do whatever you want rather than us having to keep adjusting it to suit different needs. You could actually build your own. That probably is more flexible.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I think we'll take that one away and bring it up next time. Maybe we'll discuss internally. But sorry, did anybody have anything else to add to that specific point? Any ideas or feedback?
I was just going to. I like the idea. I think it's really good, really helpful. Speaking purely from the agency point of view, I think we don't get direct clients asking us to tell us how much they've used in terms of data, blah, blah, blah. And mainly because we've got them on the right plan. That we have got a couple of, and I think every agency will have these types of clients. We've got a couple of clients that not interested, don't understand, don't know what to do, and we go, right, okay, we internally as an agency have a scheduled job to go into the CRM. They don't want the CRM, they don't use the CRM at all. So all the cases and the contacts, we just go in and we export the whole damn lot just so that we've got it, and then we delete them. And they never ask for it, they never want it, because all their workflow notifications go into their email and they deal with their orders. It's an American company that sells online. I'm thinking of for that particular one. And they don't want to go into the CRM and go, oh yeah, Nick bought so-and-so on the 23rd of May or whatever. I do think the point there is that getting the client, we're talking agency to end client here, getting the client on the right plan for them, and I'm also talking reseller, is the whole key to this, because you're charging them the right money and you've got headroom. And then if you think about your global allowance within reseller, it really doesn't matter. Because SiteGlide are always going to tell you that you're getting close to your billing units, and then you would look and you would think, okay, I probably need to tweak a few end client accounts, but we're not in that position at the moment. I love reseller. I absolutely love it. It's put, I mean, I'm chief financial officer for WYSI, the agency. And I tell you what, it's just amazing that I don't have to worry about this site is approaching its limits and blah blah blah, because I know
I've reconcile 90 odd invoices.
Say again, Nick.
I don't have to, or my FD doesn't have to reconcile 90 invoices each month, which he hasn't experienced that yet, but he's going to be thrilled.
That as well. Good point. I don't know what you use. We use Xero. I think somebody mentioned Xero.
Yeah, we do too. but it's still 90 things that you, and the worst thing in the world is when sometimes our dollar account runs out of money and then
Yes.
it just transacts in pounds.
Yes.
And then
Then you've got two
not
transactions.
going to let that happen again.
You've got a transfer transaction to do from one currency account to another, and then you've got to reconcile the expenditure. Yeah, I mean, it's just fantastic not to have that anymore. But it's also the peace of mind, I think, knowing that, okay, we know exactly what we're paying every month. We know what headroom we've got within that monthly payment. And just a quick skim through to see that you've got all your end clients on the right plans. It's just, I would think it's reduced admin time by, I'm going to say about 90%.
Yeah.
Just to clarify one point there. You talk about headroom on reseller. That's not a normal thing. It's only in the case of some agencies where we're trying to map your original spend. So if some of you don't have, generally the rule is you pay for what you use, but there's this concept of headroom where we've brought across a number of additional units set as the minimum to make it match your old model effectively. It's been a nightmare to organize it and plan out, but it does make sense.
But we pay for that headroom allowance, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to be paying that in my monthly subscription, knowing that I've got that wiggle room if I need it, rather than pay less and then think, oh, every single time we hit limits. That almost defeats the object of the exercise, I think.
Well, there are no limits. That's the other point. But go on.
No limits.
And the thing is, if you've got somebody on starter and they go over starter, it can get quite expensive. Now they go over their starter allowance, we won't even notice we'll know. But from a financial point of view, it'll be we just won't make any difference. So we won't have a hit. Not that it's ever a huge hit, but we could have somebody who we're paying $30 for the license, and then we're paying another $40 for the overages because we hadn't spotted it. Now we'll be paying, I don't know, maybe $1 for the overages on new starter compared to the plan we're on with so many sites. So it just takes the problem away completely. And headroom is, do you know what? At $1 per gazillion, we can. Don't worry about it. I'm not saying that's what you charge, but
I mean that's really important. That's something we've always wanted, because it wasn't Platform OS's fault. It was just the model they came up with had this painful overages element that actually punishes you for using a little bit more. Whereas now the model is use more and you'll save more, and then you can just scale up and build more sites. So hopefully that's come across in the information. Mainly for people who haven't already migrated to it. So
I had a question. We haven't migrated our sites across because I was having some trouble looking into the steps and everything. Do we have a somewhere guide or video guide or something that we can follow and do the things? And second question I looked into Stripe today, and for other companies we do use Xero, which is a good platform for generating PDFs and receipts and everything processes. But I'm not too sure if it kind of integrate with SiteGlide in that way. If a site is using 500 records, it goes 50 records up. Will it go to the invoice? Will it add the whatever amount it is? Will it kind of sync for all those sites that we have when they cross the limit? And it was just so
on the current model where you've got all your individual subscriptions, there's no integration and there's no easy way of managing that. So you've essentially got to keep an eye on it and charge the customer more manually, which is that's one of the main reasons we've done this. It's been such a pain to do. So with the new model, our relationship to you is that we make it easier. We just give you one bill and you pay for the total across all of your sites. You still have the you to customer relationship to manage, which is basically you probably have a subscription or a invoice or something with each of them. At the moment, we've not built anything to link the two together. So you would get a bill from us And if they've suddenly started using a lot more, you might want to go to them and put them on a new plan, one of your own plans, or follow our plan model that we've got. So to try and answer your question, we probably won't look at specific integrations immediately, because if we do zero, somebody will need QuickBooks or somebody will need something else. I think the best thing that we can do is make the data available to you via API, and then you could use Zapier into a Google Sheet. There's loads of different ways that you could better manage the change in usage from a customer. But I think back to the conversation we were having at the start of this, if you get them on the right plan with quite a lot of headroom in there already, and you're charging them a high enough amount, then you don't have to manage it quite so strictly, if you like. I'm sorry, it hasn't fully answered your question, but does that kind of make sense for now, at least?
Oh, yeah. Got it.
So to try and think about it from your perspective, I assume do you have like set plan prices that you have people on at the moment? Have you followed the cycle?
We have like about 31 websites at the moment. And I was thinking that we could just set up automation or integrate with some platform, so we don't have to check all the sites every month, their records and everything. Any recommendation will be open to hear. As you said, Zapier, Xero, Stripe, these three are good. But yeah.
It's definitely something we want to help with more. Obviously, this was phase one, getting the actual reseller model set up and getting you onto the one bill model. But yeah, there's loads more we can do, and feedback from you guys already had some great feedback today on how we can better share the data and help you manage it. I think, as I say, the best way initially will be for us to provide you that data in an easier format for you to then hook up at your end, I think, and work out the best way of doing that. I think Zapier will be a good way generally to go from a Google Sheet into Zapier or something like that. But we'll definitely continue to work with you guys to overcome those kind of things and try and make it easier and easier. Has anybody else got any ways that they are going to automate it or already do, in case we can help answer the question? Just going to be manual. So I think Nick, you've tried to set people on a plan where you don't need to change them too often. I think that's and that means that it's not too hard for you to manage. Would that be right?
Yeah, I mean, we've currently pretty much mapped the previous plans across to our clients, so it's really just a case of keeping an eye on that usage level, really, for us. So yeah, but if they go, I mean, we may be different because of the number of kind of sites we've got on Site Live compared to some other agencies. But if they, if one person nudges over a little bit, it's not going to be a big issue for us. So in that sense, it's not really a concern. Yeah, we'd prefer to, if they've gone over their limit, we'd prefer to bill them. But the fact it's not going to cost us a huge amount when they do now if we miss it for a month, lucky customer kind of thing. But yeah, maybe moving forward, we'll maybe align with some wider boundaries. But we'll just see, because I think it was that logarithmic kind of curve previously, and actually rather than doing it logarithmically, we might have less of a steep increase in terms of those kind of usage amounts. But we'll see. We might even follow the kind of, you pay the core for the site and then pay for the size of units with customers. But yeah, to be tested. I mean, they're all used to paying what they pay now, so it's not I think we've had one issue in the last 6 months where somebody has sold, they're a charity and they run events, and they kind of put all the events online and had a lot of interest and sold a lot of things, and they went, I think they were only a starter client, and they went over quite a bit, and we billed them like, oh well, why has this happened? But that's one. So yeah, it's not it's not a big deal in that sense.
the idea of billing end customers on a usage basis, on a like metered billing basis, is interesting. I think if you're selling them a CRM or something like that, it's expected, or email marketing, where they're going to maybe pay for the number of emails, the number of contacts, and it's a little bit less expected for a website. So it'd be interesting if anybody sort of tries that route, and given that there is CRM and emails built in, you can maybe justify it. I'll just, to make sure everybody's on the same page of what we're talking about, these are the site plans that we now have. These are the new ones launched in May. They're pretty much based off the old ones. We've mapped it as much as we could, really, but rather than it being 100 records or whatever individually, we've now grouped that together into total units. So if you follow our plans, we literally take our plans and charge these amounts to your end customers. We've created the reseller plans so that you earn about 40% margin if they were actually using the total, which many won't do. If you put them on launch, most of them will be on, I don't know, 50%, somewhere above 1,000, somewhere between 1,000 and 5,000. So you actually earn a good margin on the price, but also a margin on their actual utilization of that allowance, because you only pay us for what you actually use. So I think it's worth looking at this as like as a good baseline, and you might want to tweak the prices, tweak the names, tweak the amounts. You might want to bundle them into other services, or you just might want to do your own completely. And the whole point is we've designed it so you can do pretty much whatever you want. But yeah, just comparing, the other model would be to try and charge them on the same kind of model that we're charging you with Reseller, which is just charge them a site fee and then add up their domains and their units and charge them a per unit amount. But I would probably recommend going the site plan route for now, at least. Sorry, I've said quite a bit there. Any other questions?
No, I think that's clear. Thank you. I think it's good advice, mapping the site guide plan to the retail model. Then you know, and as you say, it's unlikely that all of your end clients are going to be running at 100% of the site. But if you get the plan right, it's unlikely that they're going to be running at 100% of the plan allowances, for want of a better word.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just checking if anybody else. I know. I think Liz, you might have had a couple of questions. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I was just looking at that spreadsheet too. Yeah, so basically, our pricing would stay the same unless we go over our units that we have allocated. But obviously we've got some free units as well. So that just happens automatically, does it? Like it just will happen. So let's say you've got, yeah, go on.
I was just going to pull up a template, a demo, so that everyone can see sort of what we're talking about, and we can talk about the model itself.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying, I think, is we've aggregated your current spend. So let's say it was $85 across 2 sites, 2 domains and all those units. And then what we've done is we've looked at what it would cost on the new model by multiplying the number of sites by 12, $12 per site, USD this is. Same for the domains, and then totaled up your units as well based on the new unit rates. So that happened to come to $83 total cost, which, sorry, yes, it did. If it had been a lot higher, which has been the case for some of you, what we've done is we've given some free units to help bring that number down. So let's say the actual current was 50. What I've done here is I've just added in more free units to bring that number down to the same. I think I've picked a number. Oh, it does just about work. So if I wanted to be really fussy, it would be something like 1,900 free units to bring 1920, whatever it is, to bring that spend down to roughly what it is now. Then yes, as you're right, as you're saying, if you then create new sites or add in a lot more usage, then over time your spend is going to go up, but only in line with what you're actually adding and using. In
the billable units, yep. So that'll just be automatic with your deduction, you know, the monthly cost. So we're going to be paying monthly, obviously. So then that will just get altered automatically.
Yep. So we'll send over data to Stripe. Essentially, we send over how many sites, how many domains, and how many units, and Stripe will work out the price per unit based on the tiers, and there'll just be a bill on the 1st of each month for everything from the previous month. So it's billed in arrears. Literally, you're going to see a really nice, hopefully clear total of what you've used and what we're going to bill in one bill based on your total units.
Yep. Right.
Just a very quick one. Could you just pop in a field on there as to what this is, or just tell me actually, because it's probably only me and one or two others. We've got, because so just so others know, we had a lot of annual plans in September and at the start of the year as well. So we've ended up with a credit figure in that total charge, which is quite a nice credit figure at the moment. Could you put a line in or just tell us what our monthly fee, or just out of interest, what our monthly fee will be in terms of how much that credit will go down each month, just so we know, just so we've got ballparks what it will be, or it'll be on that spreadsheet actually, won't it? Thinking about
it'll be that figure there.
Yeah, fine. Don't worry.
Obviously not that figure, but in your feed. Yeah.
It's all right.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. Thanks, Luke. Nice one. I'll hold you to that.
Wouldn't that be nice? But yeah, cool. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, I just
obviously
I still don't know how much I'm going to pay each month, but yes, I do know.
Yeah, apologies. Obviously, once the credits. So just to explain to everybody who's watching or hasn't moved yet, when we swap you over, any of your existing subscriptions get cancelled, and Stripe will prorate any remaining time that hasn't been used as credit onto your account. And obviously, if you've paid for a whole load of annual sites maybe only a few months ago, that could actually be quite a lot that's owed to you. So it gets added to your balance, and then in here you'll actually see a negative value, because we're going to charge you on the 1st of July for June, but that amount in many cases will be lower than the credit. So there'll be a number of months or 1 month or whatever it might be where we're going to use your credit before you start paying for reseller. So Nick's rightly saying, well, what is the actual true cost? Because all I'm seeing is a negative value at the moment, and the answer to that is whatever is in the spreadsheet. Obviously, it's not exact. It's based on a snapshot on the 31st of May, because your usage will change, but it's ballpark. It's not 48.50 for everybody. Apologies.
Yeah, that's handy though, because I must admit that's where it has been hard. You know how when we've upgraded sites in the past, and it's gone out of kilter with some of the billing I've been doing for clients where they're billed on a different date during the year. Yeah.
Oh, and again, not POS's fault really, but they decided to make annual an upgrade, restart a whole new year annually if you're on annual billing, and it is an admin nightmare. It's unfair, I think, to make you pay for a whole new year. So we just got rid of all of that, and you'll just literally pay for what you're using in basically the previous month. Cool. Yeah, for anybody watching who's got one of these and is really struggling to get your head around it, I do apologize. It is quite complex, but just book a call with Colin and I, and we'll run through it with you. Over on the right hand side, you've got currency. If obviously you want to pay in GBP or AUD, you literally just swap or I would send it over to you in your own currency. Our GBP rate is 0.8 of a dollar, and our AUD rate is 1.5, which are, we've never changed them, and they've stayed there or thereabouts pretty much. So you can see your spend in the currency you actually want to pay for. Cool. Sorry, Liz, did you have any more questions on Reseller?
No, the AUD one was something I was going to ask you about, whether that was going to be changing more regularly. So no, that's fine. Yep.
We've never changed it, never been a problem. So yeah, hopefully it's fine. Obviously, if it massively did, we'd have to look at it, but it would probably be quite a nightmare to change, to be honest. So
yeah, it's gone up slightly, so it's one good thing.
Okay, yeah. Great. Rox, I won't put you on the spot, but do jump in if you want to ask any questions as well, having migrated over.
No, I think I asked most of the questions the other day with you and Colin. So yeah, I'm still, we've just invoiced our clients for the last month, so I haven't gone through the process of invoicing them for the new period and then cross-checking and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. In theory, it shouldn't change unless obviously their usage has increased a lot. So the spreadsheet would give you your baseline because we've taken that snapshot. So maybe you could just cross-reference from the usage in the spreadsheet to where they are now. That might be the easiest way, just for a couple of months, just to check your that the usage hasn't increased loads. I do realize that side of things is not ideal at the moment. We obviously wanted to just get this out there and then help you manage it better going forward. So I'm sure that once it's live and maybe you've had a couple of months of it, there'll be plenty more feedback and we'll know which way to go in terms of helping you better manage fluctuation, I guess.
Yeah, my aim is to increase the number of sites, and obviously that helps me by getting into the higher brackets with lower costs. So yeah,
great. It's good to hear. I mean, we put a lot of time into this, and part of it is to solve the old problems, the problems we've been talking about. But obviously, a huge part of it as well is to mean that you guys can build any number of new sites, any client of any size, any project of any size, and know that you've got a completely scalable model that just earns you more and more margin. That's the theory, and it seems to be proving to be the reality too. But obviously, let us know if there's any sort of. I'm sure there'll be a couple of scenarios that we need to help work through or improve. Good. Okay. Conscious of time as well. Is there anything else on billing specifically?
I've got billing clear, which will be probably integrating other platforms according to business and convenience, whatever suits. I had just a question with migration. I got these 6 steps to do the migration. I didn't quite understand. Is there anything on my end I have to do inside Glide? Billing will be, of course, on us to the setups, how we're going to build the clients. It's all on us. Apart from that, is there anything we have to do inside Glide, or we are all good?
Yeah, sorry, you did ask that and I forgot to answer. So the good news is there was nothing for you to do, and we actually did it all yesterday for you. So you're fully migrated across, and I sent across that link showing you your new reseller tab. So yeah, nice and easy, hopefully very smooth. Obviously the only thing you do have to do is now just keep an eye on what you're charging your customers. Yep. From memory, I think you guys had quite a few Connect sites, and this is something worth bringing up for anybody who has any Connect sites. Connect is where we got rid of it a while ago because it's actually harder to manage than we realized. But Connect is where you've connected your Stripe account to SiteGlide, and the customer is paying you into your Stripe account, and we're just taking a fee in the process. So we were taking the fee that we would have charged you separately in that kind of payment process. What we've done when migrating you across is leave that subscription exactly as it is in your Stripe account, and we just stopped taking the fee. That's all we've done. We've just said we're not going to take $20 or $30 or whatever it was. We set that to 0. And then what we've done is added that site to your reseller plan. So we're just billing you for the site on the reseller model. It adds to your overall economies of scale in terms of reducing your unit rates and stuff. But you carry on, that subscription will carry on as normal, and your client won't know any different. So you might still need to manage those. You might still need to upgrade them onto higher plans or charge them overages perhaps. again, that's the big topic I think we're taking from this, that you guys need a little bit more help from us on how to manage that going forwards. But yeah, to answer your question, nothing else required. As long as you're happy that it's what you expected, just have a look through on your new reseller tab. Everything's done.
You know, it's good. I saw the email earlier this morning and I was like, wow, that's actually a good idea. I mean, it works great for us, you guys, and probably once we are done with the billing, customer as well. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Cool, good. Yeah, I think where the customer can benefit, just quickly, sorry, is another problem with the old model is it was very rigid and SiteGlide's very flexible in terms of you might have a site which is all API calls or all records or all emails, and the plans didn't really cover that. They had an allowance of each. So now, because it's unit based and it's sort of they're all groups, your clients might find that actually benefit from if you move them to the unit model, the plans I was showing you earlier, because they could have a site that's predominantly emails or predominantly records and just pay for what they use.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's another way to look at the things, because I have few sites, they use more domains. Some of them have a lot of records, but just one domain. So we can probably charge them according to that now.
Yeah. I still recommend building in that headroom, but at least you can build it in a more generic metric than having to make them buy all the metrics.
Point.
Cool. I think somebody else was going to jump in. Do feel free. Okay, well, spent quite a bit of time on billing, so I think it probably is worth jumping on to roadmap, because I don't imagine that's going to be a very quick one. What we might do is obviously do another meeting on roadmap specifically, so that we've got more time on it. But yeah, just very quickly, we've obviously had to really focus on billing. We wanted to get that right, and you might have seen we've recently released a few features, because we're now able to really focus again on roadmap and ideally some quick wins. We did the email trigger automation feature, which hopefully is a silly little thing really, but it allows you to do logic before sending out emails, which opens up a whole world of possibilities really, with only literally just adding in that field for you. And working on quite a few other things, some e-commerce related stuff, some event features. Nick, I think a few of those have been on your list. And then what we really want to talk about would be some of the bigger stuff, and just make sure that we're clear on what the biggest, most urgent pains are. So things like menu builder v2 we talked about earlier in the year, the Zapier v2 based on automations, admin user roles, that's a big one. But yeah, I'll hand over to you guys to maybe list some of the sort of burning things for you. I'm sure you've got a list, Nick.
Well, but I got an email this morning saying you're doing the menu builder, so I don't want to distract you.
And you managed to get the export of the attendees done very quickly for me as well. So
yeah, we're very happy bunnies at the moment.
Yeah,
that's great to hear.
Category discounts is one of the things that's annoying me at the moment. Being able to assign.
Yeah, we probably need to put together an e-commerce list from our end.
Yeah, I think Matt's already got an e-commerce and he is working through it. I've been answering his questions, which is good. Yeah, we've sort of built in workarounds for some things, but it just needs doing properly, because what we've done in budget, and it's not very flexible, not very user friendly for the client when they're trying to do stuff. You know, they have to keep coming to us, and it takes us a couple of hours to sort it out. So yeah, there are a couple of things that need doing.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Yeah, where it's just a tick box as opposed to having to go to the site manager and start messing around with logic and liquid and stuff, trying to get things right. So yes.
Yeah, obviously apologies that we haven't been able to get onto that list sooner, but yeah, as you can see, we're now working through that and want to make sure that we're really doing that holistically, I guess, for everybody, and jumping on the most important things. So yeah, do make sure we're aware of everything, I think, is the best thing to say. The roadmap site itself had been a little neglected as well. I'll just pull that up so that everyone's aware of what I'm talking about. The email you got this morning, Nick, was me making sure that it was showing in the planned area. So yeah, we are working on that. That's obviously one of the big ones that we wanted to do. But I've just tried to get that a bit more up to date. But obviously, if there's anything that's not in there that you feel is a burning, a big thing that is critical, then let us know. In progress isn't accurate at the moment. We're going to go through this now. We've finally got through billing. But yeah, anything. Sorry, I'll let you guys jump back in.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that I'd like looking at some stage is actually billing related, because when there's an e-commerce transaction, you end up with 4 or 5 records for a transaction. That's, I don't know, it just feels a bit wrong from the end client point of view. Yeah, it'd be nice to look at that, because obviously you end up with a CRM record, you end up with an e-commerce CRM record, you end up with an order, you end up with a transaction. I think that's the 4.
Form fill.
And the form fill, yeah. So every time somebody makes a purchase, you get 5 records in there. And I appreciate you've got the challenges with that with Platform OS, but yeah, I just wonder if there's, why is the payment not against the order, for example?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just things like that, which because I think that with the charity I mentioned just now, that was the thing. They had a good number of orders, but there was 5 records for every order that came through. And yeah, even as Robert said, yes, we could schedule to go in and delete all of those items, but we then get challenged by I wouldn't have had to do that in WordPress. So yeah, we'll make that a lot easier for us. But yeah, it'd be good just to look at that record so it doesn't quite scale as quickly with e-commerce.
You may remember, probably maybe 2 years ago now, we did flatten the e-commerce database a bit back then and got rid of, I can't remember what it was, but did that. We just probably need to do that again. There's probably more POS features or things that we can now do to do that. The only thing we have to be careful of is sometimes flattening it more reduces flexibility, so we just need to try and keep that balance. I think one thing that we have done since then as well is made deleting them easier. I know that's not the right answer, but you can now do that from the deleted items, or data cleaning, sorry, in site settings. But yeah, we'll definitely want to look at how we can. I think one of the things we've had on the list for a while is being able to remove cases from a form submission, so you actually would have the choice of, I think if we build in the choice of what the system does, and you guys can set that per site or per feature, you could probably turn off cases, or you could turn off certain features, and then obviously we'll flatten it as much as possible as well. Yeah.
I must admit, I hadn't seen that one, but yeah, I'll have a look at that. So,
what, the data cleaning bit? No,
the turning off, so it either goes to a form fill or a case.
So we haven't done that yet. That's been on the list for a while. We know we need it as part of Reseller, really, because obviously you guys want to, like, you're now paying us directly for the usage, so we want to make sure that you're in total control of that usage. And
it's probably less of an issue for us, more for the client, if we then go, well, you've moved up a level, and they're like, when you look at their records, because the next thing is, well, what have we used that on? And you go, well, okay, so you've had 1,000 e-commerce transaction, which is 5,000 records. Like, why is it 5,000 records? Why is it not 1,000 or 2,000? But
I think 2,000. Back to my point about turning on and off certain things. Like, it would be 2,000 if you've had to add a user, and you want to
Yeah,
store
yeah.
the user in the database. So those kind of decisions that you guys would make on the client's behalf, you'd ask them, hang on a minute, do you want a CRM where you store all your users and your cases and your payment orders? If so, you're going to pay for all of those things, but you should be able to choose.
Having a CRM and having a CRM record and an order record feels right, but having 5 feels a bit over the top.
I mean, payment methods and all of that those ones, frustrate me, and things that hopefully we can make.
That could get, because we don't, that data is then in their Stripe account, so they don't need that data. They just need to know there's been a transaction through Stripe. And actually, they probably don't even need to know that if there's just one gateway. But you need some record against the order to say a payment has happened. But
I think we'd want to log of all the data, to be honest. I think we'd want to at least log all the data, just so that if there was ever any issues, you could always link them up and refer to them. But we shouldn't be storing it ideally as records that sit there forever. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, got that on the list. I've got a few just kind of prompts to ask people what their thoughts on, but before I do that, I think it's always good to hear things without any prompts. Is there anything else that anybody's sort of either frustrated with or okay?
I've got a couple. I just thought of something with the reseller. Are we able to see the data back in time? So let's just say we're invoicing our clients quarterly, and we want to be able to see what it was last month, the month before, the data.
It's a good question. I mean, you'll get the invoice from us every month, but no, that'll be a total, won't it? So do you mean a per site?
Yeah, like a per site history
month
sort of thing. Yeah.
We have it. Well, Platform OS have it, and we can go and capture that, but we haven't made it accessible to you guys automatically and store it. So that's definitely something I need to write down and we need to look at. And I totally see why you'd want to be able to retrospectively prove that.
And certainly when, as we get more clients and more sites and being able to, do business intelligence reporting and stuff like that ourselves. So
yeah, usage per site per month. Be able to see history. Do you think 6 months would probably be realistic, or do you think there's probably a limit to how far back to go?
I guess probably the maximum billing period would be a year, so I might want to see it over a year, I guess.
True, that does make some sense.
That might be something that would lend itself to an API call to a Google Sheet, and it just happens every month. Just, in terms of if we've got the data and we've got the flexibility of the data and people would want to use it in different ways, then possibly.
That's the thing. We want to give you all the data and everything, but there's some things where I feel maybe we shouldn't pass that responsibility onto you. I think we should also try and provide that. So we'll try and do both, I would have thought. Because if your Zapier integration fails or whatever, that's obviously could be quite serious. So we'll try and make sure that we log it and provide it as well.
Another thought I had, this was actually today, we're setting up a new site. They're going to have, it's a migration from another site. We're going to be creating a whole heap of media uploads, and an import export functionality would be good. And from the perspective of being able to do, say, bulk metadata changes, so setting a whole heap of items to a particular category or things like that. So if we could import export, we could do that relatively easily.
On media downloads specifically, do you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't have any import export functionality at the moment. So
yeah.
That'd be quite handy actually.
And some sort of migration, might be able to use it in the migrations as well, for uploading all that metadata about creating when we create them, sort of thing. Because it's quite tedious.
What do you guys do you all tend to use CSV for data, or would JSON be your preferred route?
CSV.
Yeah, CSV.
I could throw that in there, not being a developer.
I mean, I would be using JSON if I'm programmatically doing it, but a lot of these sort of things in data management is just CSV.
Also, if you've got CSV, you can throw it at the client and ask them to fill it in.
Yeah, true.
And get it back from them. If you try and throw JSON at them, they've got no chance. And
yeah, where JSON will come in handy is that kind of these automations that we'll start to see a lot more of moving forward. But yeah, for everything else, it's manual handling. It's trust the Excel.
I think we'd probably try and do both, because the system would actually store it all in JSON, I would have thought. I think we'd probably keep it as JSON rather than I think we'd try to keep a log that way, and then CSV would actually be importing records.
Yep.
Cool. Yep. No, really good. That's helpful.
And another one related to that, I guess, not just in media uploads, but an ability to be able to perform bulk actions, maybe enable or disable, or a couple of things like that on selected records.
This is across SiteGlide in general, web apps, modules, Yeah,
I'm not sort of talking
actions
about editing bulk fields at the moment. That could become later on, but just being able to turn on or off items and that sort of stuff would be good.
So list view UI of modules, etc. Modules,
modules, web
commerce.
Yep.
Same with e-commerce products as well. That'd be really handy if you just could, as opposed to having to go to each individual product, you could just from the list view just tick enable, disable from the front end. Having just worked on a massive e-commerce site this week, and also copying products as well. I think it's already on there on the list of things that need to be done.
And I was going to say that whilst the import export works quite well, I'm always nervous when I'm overwriting existing data. So if I can just be selecting a whole heap and enabling or disabling, that's always better.
Yeah, definitely, totally agree.
And another one, sorry, I've come prepared, was subdomain management. So being able to manage subdomains a little bit better, I think would be good.
Yeah, I've actually been looking into that recently for someone else, and subdomains are free to use if done the right way, and that's something that we need to speak to Platform OS about, so that we can help you leverage the way of adding subdomains. I think they just have to be done. There's a CNAME that has to be created basically at the Platform OS end, and we just need to help you do that. So subdomain management.
So that's in terms of having a domain fully pointed at SiteGlide and then subbing off a subdomain to a third-party site, or sending a subdomain internally within SiteGlide to another site.
Yeah, so I guess
possibly
I'd ultimately want to have some sort of routing, I guess, as well, where if it comes in as in admin.thefigliano.com, it goes to a subdirectory or something like that. Or if I come into app.
That's the only way I've got in mind at the moment, or the main way is enabling you to add a full top-level domain delegated on SiteGlide. I'm not thinking external at the moment, and then in there being able to add your subdomains mainly for use within SiteGlide. So linking it to a certain home start page or something. Obviously, the other options are things like being able to send it externally and being able to do it from an externally managed domain. I don't think we get involved in the last one. I don't know, actually. Yeah, it all needs a little bit of thought, but I think the main use case is at least letting you be able to add subdomains to be used on SiteGlide from a fully delegated domain.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that, if you're talking with, and SiteGlide's really designed for larger organizations rather than just the, mum and dad, couple of people business, is that often they have fairly, we're not the only person talking to them about their internet or their IT. And they might have a dedicated IT provider who's, full on managing the domain records, and then not going to let it be delegated to the web host sort of thing.
Yeah.
I can probably
Thinking more about what I said. sorry, I'll just quickly say this and then and let you jump in. Thinking more about what I said, I should correct it. I think the ones where adding external ones from a fully delegated in SiteGlide should be fine anyway. Like Intercom or some other service will just give you a CNAME. You'll add that in. That should work already. And then, yeah, totally agree. We just need to look at how an externally managed domain, how they would get you to set up a subdomain, and then we need to allow that at our end. So it just needs a little bit more thought, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, Rox, I recently went through this. We were supporting one of our agency clients through Site Gurus. And it did concern me from the outset because the production domain, in other words, the www bit, was remaining externally hosted on another platform. And only a subdomain of that production domain would be on SiteGlide, and the DNS needed to be external, not fully delegated. And I thought the combination of those two, putting a subdomain onto SiteGlide with the CNAME record, might cause problems. And it didn't. But sure enough, the CNAME, once you've done the verification step to show that you are authorized to access the name servers and DNS zone, then you get the CNAME from Route 53, from AWS, from POS. When you put that in, it tries to generate what I thought would be the case, which is the subdomain being, let's call it abc.123.com. It tries to generate the subdomain as www.
Yeah, correct. I've got a number of sites that are like that, where like the marketing site or whatever is in is another site, and I've got a like a particular system portal or something like that has a subdomain. And yeah, it's been Martin had to help out on every single one of those, I think. So
yeah. So I mean, the protocol is wrong for www.subdomain.domain. And sure enough, it put it in there. And Luke, I think it was you that was able to just go into the SiteGlide admin portal, and you add a record, or you do something, Luke, you'll be able to do what it was. And it effectively just removes the www, and within 5 minutes, we could see it all propagating, and we could actually see the site at the subdomain location on SiteGlide. So quite a complex, a bit of a sort of, not nightmare, but I think we're going to have fun with this one. But actually, dead easy.
It has actually been discussed a lot at length with Platform OS, and I thought I'm pretty sure we'd done some fixes to make that work. So I'll revisit that, work out where we got to. But yeah, you should 100% be able to add a subdomain as your main domain, and hook it up as normal through external or fully delegated.
Actually,
only external.
Yeah, we've got a site the same. It's the subdomain on SiteGlide, and we still haven't got I can't remember if it's non-www working or the www working. So we've just lived without it. But I'll send you that site. So maybe if that could be resolved, that would be good. Yeah.
So is that an SSL issue?
If it's a subdomain, Liz, you don't want www. The two don't go together if it's a sub. If it's a domain, then that's absolutely fine. You can choose. Remember that the standard AWS or Route 53 or platform protocol is that you put that CNAME in, and basically what it does is it redirects route to www, which most people run off. Some businesses choose to run off without the www, what we call route. But if it's a subdomain, that's what you don't want. You don't want that www.subdomain.domain.whatever.
Oh, okay.
And that's what SiteGlide can fix by just editing or doing something, and it whips the www out of the network address. So you then get abc.123.com working perfectly with no www.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, it's working. I can't remember which way it was. But I'll just double check. Yeah.
It won't resolve,
Yeah,
I believe, if it's a www.subdomain.domain.extension. I don't think that resolves.
Mhm.
To summarize for now, if you're adding a subdomain from an externally managed domain, you will need our help just with one step, and just contact us in advance or at the time, and we'll just help you with that. But I'm going to go back into this task afterwards and try and make sure that we resolve that once and for all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, and Martin helped way back when
Yeah.
we did that one.
Yeah.
I'll have to revisit
Yeah,
it myself.
sure.
It's very
I'm
quick.
gonna
It's very quick to do, and I was really impressed. But I was a little anxious. What have we taken on here?
I'm going to be a little bit cheeky now, and I'm going to lobby for one of the things I've put into the backlog for the roadmap, and that's around edit forms. So at the moment in the code editor, and the layouts and all that sort of stuff, you've got you have a so for a web app, you've got detail, form, and list, and the form is an insert form, and it would be great if it also created that the edit form as well, and also that was available in the in the pages editor or the other places where you want to insert a form. It asks you whether you want to insert the edit or the insert form.
Yeah, I'm just reading it now. I think this is the one. I think, Rox.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I think I might have mentioned this to you. Maybe we discussed it on the call or in chat. I can't remember, but this is definitely something that we're trying to make forms really, really easy to manage via Site Builder, and I believe that is either there or part of some of the templates that we've done. But yeah, it's a nice idea, and I don't see why it shouldn't be across the whole product. Cool. I think I asked you this question as well, actually, because if you do use Site Builder, I think you'd be able to achieve this immediately, and if not, it would be something that's probably easier to add there than across the whole of the product at the moment. So if there's any burning, this is what we come on to next, really, is priorities. So we want to do everything. We've just got to work out what we should be doing in what order, and I think we should try and do the ones that literally there's a roadblock. You either can't do a certain product, or you've got a really unhappy client because of a certain issue. We really want to make sure we're well aware of those. And then I think maybe you'd agree some of the stuff we discussed today is more closer towards sort of nice to have than would make management easier. I'm not saying that if we categorize them as that, we're not going to do them. Some of them might be nice and quick and easy and make a lot of sense, and we might get a lot of votes on them, but we still need to try and get these in some sort of order and priority.
I'm going to put my hand up and say the e-commerce module needs working on just everything.
Yeah.
So that's my push to the top of the list thing, please.
So a good time to talk very high level, I think. So if we did focus on e-commerce, not only, but had a real focus on it, is there anything that needs to also be on the, let's say we had 60% of time on one main thing, which was e-commerce to start with, that would mean putting that ahead of things, probably like user roles and even menu builder v2, let's say, because I know that's one you guys want as well, John and Nick. Would you guys vote for doing e-commerce ahead of those kind of things? And secondly, we also need to know from everybody what the 40% of the time should be spent on, and they need to be little improvements, little bugs, little things that are actually having the biggest impact.
Yeah, we probably need to have a little internal regroup on what are the key things within e-commerce that we need. Which of those can we actually build ourselves if we've got access to a couple more data points. So, so I know one of the things that we're keen to do is an order processing kind of system. Now, most of that data is probably available to us, and we just need to take some time to build that. So yeah, we probably just need an internal regroup. But things like kind of 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional attributes is quite an important one, because it's really hard within SiteGlide to sell a pair of shoes in a certain size and a certain color.
Although we have got it working.
Yeah, we have got it working. Yeah, but yeah, you know, things like that are, you know, basic. You know, for every other e-commerce site out there, that's a fundamental thing that happens well, and it doesn't in SiteGlide currently. So you know, there'll be a number of those types of things, but then there'll be a lot that we can you know, we can probably look at and configure ourselves. Now we've got things like the email triggers and that type of thing. So yeah,
I think if you guys can do that, and if everybody can kind of really try and internally analyze what you need, because then we probably can break it down into smaller chunks, and that way we can tackle 3 small things in e-commerce quicker than we can devote a whole chunk of time to a big overhaul. And the same with something, I can't think of another good example at the moment, but if people can really put their finger on the things they need most urgently, we'll do our best to.
And I think e-commerce is a series of things that we could do. You know, we could have a list of maybe 5 things and knock them off the list, and that would be great. Whereas menu builder, actually, that's a complete overhaul. That's you know,
exactly.
Needs you know, that will work for everybody across everything, or needs to work for everybody across everything, and currently it doesn't. So I think definitely keep the focus on the menu builder from our point of view. But then I think there will be a number of smaller tasks within e-commerce, because actually, you know, whilst we've struggled with e-commerce, there's a lot of, you know, very usable stuff for most of our clients. We're not turning away e-commerce clients at the moment saying, oh, we can't do that within the platform particularly. But, you know, when they get their site and they go, oh gosh, how do I process my orders in here? Which, you know, to my mind is, well, you API it out to your order management system. But actually that's not what what a lot of our smaller customers have done. And if they're doing that obvious comparison versus Shopify actually allows them to do that very neatly. So it's those types of elements. So we'll look into that and work out what.
Just on that, I was really amazed today, because like that new option in events where you can actually, if you've got the ticket attached, it's got the people who have bought that ticket. So I actually stuck. Yeah, I know, it's fantastic.
It's only taken 18 months to get
Don't bring that up.
Don't worry. I've got one very, 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 very happy client now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I use it in a slightly different way today, because I've got a couple of sites where, you know, the customers buy multiple products, but we want to be able to see who's bought a particular product. And so I just created a fake event and then attached that product, and bang, it worked. It showed all the people who bought that product.
Right.
So it would be good to sort of split that out now and have a product report. So it's basically the same as the event report, but it's a product report, because that is so useful when they've bought 5 things, you know, in a shopping cart. You want to know how does each one go? Yeah, what have they bought? So hopefully that's an easy one.
Yeah, really interesting. That there's things we don't fully always know how the product is being used, especially at the customer end. So it's really interesting to hear this kind of stuff and little things that we can do maybe to make it. I mean, the data is, as everyone knows, data is so valuable. We've got to be able to access it and use it. So yeah, please let us know of this kind of stuff. It's always tricky. Everyone's busy, but if you guys could try and sort of compile your top 10 or whatever it might be, I'd rather be bombarded with 100 things and have to sort of come back to you and work through them and get a really solid list of what to focus on and in what order.
Yeah, we'll do it.
I've had a quick look at, just searched e-commerce on the roadmap, and it's come up with a list of most things I think that are required. Most people have put stuff on there over the years. So it just needs Yeah, and have a look through and just collation in terms of priority, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly our point, I think, is unfortunately we haven't been able to obviously do everything as quickly as we'd like. It's hard to, but because there's some legacy things in there, we don't always know, well, something's got 20 or 10 votes, but from ages ago, is it still relevant? So yeah, I think us having a bit of a clear out based on current feedback will make the roadmap far more valuable and useful.
Definitely.
Great. Yeah, nothing else from me. I'm conscious of time, but I do want to let anybody else jump in with anything else, I guess. Okay. Yeah, great. Well, sorry, Liz, go for it.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to ask a question.
No, I probably moved my mouse.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I never expected us to, you know, come up with a roadmap here and now, but I think just keeping it moving, know that now's the time that we really want to hone in and focus on the most important points for you, and just get the platform to the best state we can as quickly as we can by focusing on the most urgent things. So yeah, have a think about it and feel free. I'll try and think of a better way of communicating that. I think do we in Discord have a roadmap channel? If we don't, I think that might be a good idea. Oh, there is.
Thought there was.
Have a look. I thought there was too.
Oh, was it update
roadmap
one?
updates. Yeah. Well, I think what we'll do under community discussion is I'll put one in there, because I think sometimes it's a bit bad having multiple places, but a place just to discuss things and pull stuff together, and then we'll make sure that the actual roadmap itself is reflective of that and up to date. Does that sound good?
Yeah, we'll get a list together.
Perfect.
Great. I'll set that up today, and yeah, just chuck anything in there. We'd rather have it all in one place and just compile it all. So yeah, great. Yeah, I think that's everything. Hopefully the move to reseller has been good for those that have moved over, and those that haven't, just get in touch if you've got any questions, and we'll help you with it. Yeah, thank you everybody. Great to see you, and speak soon.
Yeah.
See you later on.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Liz.
Okay.
Have a good
Bye.
day, evening,
Thanks.
Bye,
whatever.
guys.
Thanks.
Good luck in the cricket.
Enjoy your
Australia.
holidays, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.